AITA for asking my son and daughter-in-law for a copy of the key to the new house they bought? 2 weeks ago my son, Ethan, 27, and his wife, Jess, 30, bought a small one-story house in the town we live in. After settling down, they invited us for a small party for the occasion. We sat for dinner and talked about the house a bit. Me, my husband and Jess continued conversing after Ethan excused himself to take an important call. Jess showed me the original key to the house and I asked if she made copies yet and she said no. I said she should and also give one copy to me as well. She looked at me funny and asked why she should. I explained that it is necessary so that it could be used in emergencies. She rudely said, "I don't know what kind of an emergency that would require you having a key to our house. Sure won't be a fire incident." Quote. She obviously didn't seem to have any idea that a fire incident wasn't what I meant and I got offended by her sarcasm. I pointed out that it's not just her decision because this is my son's house as well. She smiled at me trying to be polite and stated that only the ones who contributed towards the house get a copy and that I really don't need one anyway. Also assured me that my son will have the same answer for me. Basically saying, "Don't bother bring this up with Ethan. He'll tell you the same thing," but I did and she spoke on his behalf the entire argument repeating what she said over and over. Things escalated to her calling me pushy and me telling her she was being unnecessarily rude and disrespectful. My husband and I left in a rush and I felt horrible. My husband went on and on about how paranoid and controlling I was to basically be demanding a copy of the key to the new house, but again I stated that I was just trying to be helpful and taking extra precautions since anything could happen, but he insisted I overstepped and ruined Ethan's and Jess's joy for their new house as well as dinner. I genuinely do not think what I said was out of line and I'm not sure why Jess reacted so intensely. I think my request was innocent. YTA. It's their house and their choice who gets keys. When she said no the first time, you should have dropped it. Your husband and Jess are right. You're being pushy and controlling and that behavior ruined the dinner. YTA. You don't get to demand a key to someone else's house. And trying to override a wife's wishes in her own home by acting as if you have rights in your son's home is going to put you on a fast track to never being invited. Her reacting as intensely as you describe suggests that you have a problem with overstepping. Generally, take a hard look at your own behavior. YTA. You are not entitled to a key and your Dill and husband are right. There's a difference if you asked if they needed someone to house an extra key but you didn't. I get the feeling you're the kind of mill that might let herself in randomly to check there are no emergencies without prior permission. You sound like one of those overbearing mills on our Just No Mill. You had a point about someone having a key. But that someone didn't have to be you. And you should have talked to them together. You should have dropped it once she said no. But instead you pulled the "it's my son's house too" card and made a power play for your son in which woman he'd listen to. Which is weird and unnecessary. Then you got offended and had to make a scene. Your son is married and has a new priority now. Leave her alone. YTA. YTA. It's my son's house too. Yeah, and what are you hoping out of it? So he overrides his wife and gives you a key anyway? Or so he'd have to argue with her on your behalf? Yeah, YTA. It's a good idea to suggest they make copies and give them to someone close for safekeeping. It's even not too bad to suggest yourself as a possible candidate. But instead, it sounds like you just told her what she should do. Then when she disagreed, you pushed and pushed. And then you brought it up again with your son in the hopes of arguing it further. It's their house. Their key. You pushed things too far. YTA. You don't ask for a copy of a key to someone's house. Even if it is your son's. If they offer, fine. But no, you don't ask. It is rude and overbearing. YTA. From the tone of your post, it's clear you expect your son to defer to you rather than to his wife. That says a lot about you. And not in a positive way. YTA. Big time. If they wanted you to have a key for emergency or any other reason, they'd have offered it. You were extremely pushy. If you'd like a relationship with them in the future, you really ought to apologize ASAP and contain yourself in the future from any further disrespectful behavior towards them. YTA. If they needed an emergency person with an extra key, they would have given it to that person on their own. Also, your Dill and your son are a team. Assuming he'd go against his teammate in an argument with you is not great. You overstepped boundaries, and instead of backing off when she reinstated them, you kept toeing over that line and refusing to apologize for it and move on. Let them have their space. YTA. 1. It is your adult son and DIL's house. If they're mature enough to marry and buy a house together, they're mature enough to handle on own. Point 2. What kind of emergency will warrant you having keys to their house? Even if they lose main keys, they can always get locks replaced. Point 3. If you have the key to their house, you could check in anytime and snoop. Home is supposed to be private haven. 4. We do leave keys at neighbor's home, but is in the case of apartment living. Intended for backup. In case you live far from them. It's useless to leave backup in your place. What blew my mind was the way you went about it. Your Dill refused flat out. Gave her reason. Also asked you not to ask her husband, aka your son. You bulldozed her no. Claimed it is your son's house too and asked him. Essentially, you're trying to make your son choose between you and his wife. Are you trying to create a wedge between them? Stop in your tracks. Your son is married now. His wife is his family now. You don't get to enforce your rules in their house. You can't make unreasonable demands. Live and let live. Edit. Added word went. YTA. 1. A married couple or a unit. If one of them feel uncomfortable with you accessing their private home, it can't work. 2. Ma'am, these are two adults in their first home. Do you not appreciate they may want privacy? Maybe they want to make snuggle on their sofa. Or more. Or walk around naked or leave their financial papers and letters out. 3. What were you trying to achieve by asking your son? Do you think your partner said no? Is very unhappy about the idea of me entering the home, and told me not to ask you, but would get anywhere? 4. Where did this come from? If they haven't required you to be their key person in their previous homes, then why would it be needed now? A key with you is not necessary. There are 24-hour locksmiths. Key safes they can hide anywhere. If one forgets the key, the other will have one. Or they can have spares in work or the bank. That's assuming in an emergency they don't just smash a window pane. Just a tip. Apologize and respect more boundaries. Don't make them regret moving to the same town as you. Edit. So reading the responses, what if they go on holiday and XYZ happens to the house? That doesn't warrant a permanent key with you either. I'm sure that whenever their next holiday is, they can leave a key temporarily with someone or in an accessible location. YTA. Not only were you rude to be the one to even bring it up, but you made it sound like you were entitled to a key, and how dare her for not offering you a key. to her house. You then tried to double down like her opinion didn't much matter and go around her to your son. YTA listened to your own husband, he tried to talk some sense into you. YTA. Saying you being given a key to the house is necessary and trying to end run around one owner of the house by going to the other doesn't sound at all like just trying to be helpful and taking extra precaution. You don't get a say in the key matter because you don't pay bills. She told you no, and you pressed because you didn't like the answer. No one has to let you, a visitor, disrespect them in their house. Your husband is absolutely right. Your DIL's reaction is likely the result of you consistently overstepping and demanding. Whoa. YTA. I'm sorry. But you took a running leap over the line. It's fine to suggest that they give someone they trust an extra key in case of emergencies. It's a whole other thing to state that you need an extra copy of anyone's house key, including your son and DIL's. You're being controlling. You're being defensive about your DIL's response isn't fair because you put her on the spot. In the middle of a dinner party she was hosting. Of all the times to pick. By demanding she give you what probably felt to her like free access to her home. You owe her a huge apology. You should probably also take a hard look at any of your past expectations of her and your son. Because I'd be surprised if this is a first-time offense. My husband went on and on about how paranoid and controlling I was to basically be demanding a copy of the key to the new house. He's right. YTA. It's about how you said it. It would have been way better if you had made it an offer or a question. Would it help you guys to leave a key with us in case of emergencies? Quote. Instead you were very presumptive and told her to give you a key. You doubled down by telling her that it was necessary. They're both adults. They chose to have you help them celebrate a major milestone. Instead you treated them as though they are children who need to be told what to do. As though they can't make decisions themselves. You also put Jess in a very awkward position. You told her to do something. She declined. Then you tried to get Ethan to side with you against his wife. So not only are you trying to tell them what to do, now you're trying to initiate a conflict between them. It's no wonder that she tried to head that off, reiterating what she said in the conversation. I get that you wanted to be helpful. But the way you phrased it was very thoughtless. You are, however, very much tough for trying to cause conflict between your son and his wife after she shut you down in the first place. You're also tough for ruining their celebration with your self-centeredness. YTA. Okay. So a few points. She is right. This isn't your house and you don't have any need to have a key to enter it. I understand that it is your son's house. But you having the title of mom, mother, does not entitle you to his property in any capacity. You are honestly being pretty pushy about this. You asked a question. You were given an answer regarding it. You shouldn't be trying to get between your son and his wife to get you way. It was very childish. And quite honestly a bit manipulative. Your son doesn't owe you anything as an adult unless he chooses to offer it himself. Demanding things like this from him will just put a wedge in your relationship with him and his wife. I can't even imagine what kind of situations would require you to have a key in the first place. You need to apologize to them. Info. Did your in-laws ask for a copy of your house key when you and your spouse got a place to yourselves?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.